Hello, I'm Tony Wilson,
And I'm Erika Riley.
and you're watching
Let's talk about it.
with Raheem Mitchell.
Let's talk about it. Say I just heard about a show. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Where the independent artists go. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Niecy got a new EP. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Stephanie's doing comedy. Let's talk about it, talk about it. That girl from LA and that guy. Let's talk about it, talk about it.
And now your host of Let's Talk About It, Raheem Mitchell.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Raheem Mitchell. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to bring my buddy back. I mean, this guy, we worked a lot together, and we just done so many projects together that I wanted to bring him back and ask him a few questions about some projects he's been working on and other things that's been going on in his life. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a great big round of applause for none other than Tony Wilson to Let's Talk About It. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man, and it's great to be back, great to see you, and it'll be nice to kind of catch up on things I've been doing, and I've got a colleague along today, Erika Riley.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How about
All right.
yourself?
Yeah. So, Tony was here before about maybe 2-3 years ago when the COVID vaccine was just really bad, and he was telling me how the students that you guys work with, it was like, didn't nobody know what was really going on? How we gonna reintegrate the kids back into school, because the kids were out of school for a while, and even while they were in school, it was just still a lot of things going on, and I got his perspective of it. So I would like to know your perspective of it from when it happened from when it happened years ago and up till now that the COVID vaccine is trying to come back slowly but surely. So what are you guys going to do to help that out too?
Well, we've seen a lot of changes over the past few years.
Right.
Actually society has actually changed a lot. So
Right.
there's more homeschooling we see going on now.
Right.
But we see a lot of change with the students.
Okay.
And we'll talk about some things that we've seen change with our students, and parents,
Right.
and teachers,
Right.
staff as a whole. I pray that it doesn't come back, but
Right.
if it does happen to come back, I think we'll be more prepared to handle it now,
Right.
because before it was like a surprise, like, okay, what are we gonna do? But I think hopefully if it does not come back, that'll be great. But if it does, I think we'll be able to handle it more so now, since
Yes.
students already experienced it, because it was nothing we experienced before.
Right. Yeah, and I know the teachers was nervous. I know the students was nervous, and I know they was like, "So what do we do?" And I'm looking at Tony, so what you guys gonna do? Tony's like, "I don't know what we gonna do."
Right.
But everybody has to find out exactly what's going on, and now that we, now that we got a hold of it, so now I think we'll be ready to handle it if it does come back.
Right.
So if you can let us know a little bit about yourself, what do you do? How long you been doing, and just things like that.
Okay, well, as you said, my name is Erika Riley, and I'm an educator. So I've taught for about 16 years. I've been in education for about 16 years. I was a special ed teacher. I started off as an English teacher. That lasted about 2 years, and then I went into special education. So I was in special education for a few years, and then just recently, I would say within the last 3 years, I switched over to become a behavior support specialist, which is where Tony and I work together as well. However, we did work together when I was a special ed teacher. He was one of the first colleagues that I met. He was super cool. So
Right.
we shared students, and we've been working together ever since.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is this guy cool?
He's super cool. Yeah, he's super cool.
He know I'm a pick on
He's
him.
like an
I
uncle.
know.
He's like an uncle.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
I'm not that old.
Right. Because when I very first met him, because we were doing a show, Cutting Corners, that he wrote about the song that his father wrote. And as soon as I met him, he was like, "Raheem, man, I'm glad you're doing it." And I didn't even know him at first, but it was like he was just a neighbor. He just coming up to me, talking to me, and all that good stuff. And Tony is an excellent guy, and I'm just, glad that you guys, met and you guys are working together. So just with the position you have, kind of explain what it is. You said the special eds.
Well, right now our position is we're behavior support specialists. So we go into different schools. We mainly work with elementary school students at this age, but we do go into middle school and high school as well. But we'll go in when students have particular behaviors and the teachers just don't know, like, what are we going to do about this? We'll come in kind of observe, because what I found was when you have someone to observe, I used to have an aide in my classroom, and she would see all the things that I didn't see when I was in front of the classroom teaching. So she would say, oh, you know what, those two are, you might want to move them. Just those extra eyes. So a lot of times we'll go into the classroom, be those extra eyes, kind of monitor, observe the student, and see why the behavior is occurring and what we can do. If there's something we can do on the surface to fix it, to tell the teacher, okay, you need to do X, Y, Z, and see if that works. If not, sometimes we have to, a lot of times we have to dig a little bit deeper. But we have, because it's our job, we have the time to do that. Teachers have 30 students sometimes. So they don't have the time to really just dig deep to find out why is a student behaving the way they're behaving. So we'll do that, and then we also go in and support teachers and administrators at times when things, and we do what we call restorative. I don't know if you've ever heard of restorative justice. So we'll do that sometimes where students have issues, and then they bring us in to try to rectify the issue, and just kind of integrate them back into the school and so forth if they've been suspended.
Because most of the time they want to if a kid is moving around in class and not staying still, they want to drug them up. They want to put them on them drugs. And you're like, how you know that that's what it is? Let's figure out what's going on before we put these kids on these drugs. Because when you're putting a kid on a drug, the doctor will be like, well, I don't know exactly what type of dose to give him because I don't know where his attitude level is. And you've given him some drug and he falling asleep in class. And so you figure, like, then that's where you guys come and meet in the middle and be like, well, okay, well, instead of giving him 40 milligrams, let's give him 10 to see where, because you want to kind of balance it out. So from that perspective, when you have a student like that, how would you go up to the doctor and let him know, well, the dose you're giving him is a little kind of high? So
we don't tell them that.
No, I know you don't tell them that, but they go by your suggestions and stuff like that.
We talk to the parent and we'll tell them what we're seeing, what we're observing. Well, we do talk to the teacher because we're not with them every single day. We have a caseload. So we'll talk to the teacher and say, what are you seeing, and then when we do see the student, if we see certain things, we'll let them know, okay, it seems like he might not be, because we've had students like that before. I've had students where they're jumping off the walls, they cannot learn, like they cannot sit still. It's super hard for them to learn, and then they get medication. And I've had a student where she got medication and she was just like a zombie. And I just told her mom, I said, you know what? Don't give her the medication. I'd rather her jumping off the walls
than her be
like a zombie. So yeah, we just kind of make suggestions, and that's all we can do. And it's up to the parent to make that decision if they're gonna, increase or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. So Tony, what's your perspective about
it? I agree with Erika. I think one of the most important things when you go into a classroom, the teachers are so focused on the child misbehaving and not focusing on the behavior and how to work with that. Because it doesn't always need medication. A student may be sitting in the back and might need to sit in the front to have that direct contact with the teacher. So it's getting the teachers and even us when we work to see, okay, what is the behavior? What is it that we are seeing and need to do? And then, as Erika said, convey that to the parents. Because even going back to COVID and with the kids returning, one of the biggest things that's missing is that relationship building. All that time off, they came back in and they jumped in, as opposed to that reconnecting. So trust was lost between the teachers, the parents, and the students, and also the lack of relationships, the social skills. And you can't be off of school for a year and a half, whatever, and come back and jump into instruction because the kids haven't even had the chance to reintegrate. The teachers haven't had a chance, and so everyone is on edge. So it's not just the kids, it's everyone that's involved, the parents and the teachers also, and the parents have high anxiety also.
Right, because they're like, I had this child home every day.
Yes.
And you know, she said, and the teachers only having them for about 3 to 4 hours, but mom, like, they hit every day. How do you teachers do it?
I know.
And then that's when you started realizing, see, teachers are like, they're teachers, they're mothers, they're fathers, they're, and they want to sit down and they want to talk with the student, but now you have to watch out what you say to students.
Yes.
Sometimes they're taking some of the rights away, well, not rights, I say some of the, what the word I'm trying to say, some of the things that now you can't ask the kids certain things that you could ask them before.
Right.
Because then a child want to express himself and open up to a teacher, but he was like, if I do that, am I going to get in trouble for it?
Right.
Right. And I guess that's where you guys come in, be the middleman and find out what's going on. And they try to fit in. That's when they can be comfortable about it. But some students still don't really want to share too much because then they think, Mr. Wilson's my friend. I don't want to get him in trouble. You're their friend. They don't want to get you in trouble. So what do?
Sometimes kids don't have filters. They just say
See,
stuff.
some do.
Oh, they just, especially the little ones.
Right.
And I'm like, your mom might not want you to say that. But they don't have filters a lot of the time. And they do actually, if they trust you, they do confide in us. And because we are mandated reporters, there are certain things if a child is being hurt or abused in any kind of way, we do have to say that. And we do tell them, like, if you're getting hurt, I'm telling you now, I do have to report that. So we will tell them that. But there are certain things that they tell us, and it's like, okay, this is what you need to do, especially at the middle school and high school level.
Right. So you got to, and then but my question is, how do you know if a child is really telling you what's going on, or is it just a child that just want to talk and just say stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Some kids just say stuff just to say it, and I'm trying to figure out how do you take the truth and whatever they do, take the truth and not the truth. So
you want to answer that?
I can hear I hear your perspective. I hear your perspective, and I'll hear his just to see the difference between the two.
A lot of times it comes with knowing the child.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the classroom, I got to know my students.
Right.
So I got to know their families.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's so important. I got to know mom, whoever they were living with, dad. So you get to know your student. I don't take for granted if they tell me something that they've been harmed in a certain way.
Yes.
I'm going to follow protocol.
Right.
And I'll leave that up to whoever, the CPS, whoever it is,
right,
to deal with that.
Okay.
But a lot of times, I had a student one day, and she was like, my mom hit me, and I'm like, I know you, because I knew her, because
right,
she liked to get in trouble,
Right.
Well, not that she liked it, but she got in trouble often.
Right.
But after digging, because you just got to ask, as a parent, you got to ask questions.
Right.
And come to find out, she had heard from her friends that being in foster care was fun. So she wanted to get taken out, because she knew that if I told her mom hit her,
right,
she would get, probably taken out. And I told her, I said, that's not fun. Like, that's not the thing to do. But, and I knew her mom. Her mom was, a stand-up, lady, and she loved her kids. And I'm like, let me dig more, because some people would just take it
right,
and run with
That's
it.
what I was saying.
But you got to dig and say, okay, certain,
Right.
when you know your students, you know what I mean? Some kids, I'm like, oh, you told me, I got to tell,
Right.
So, yeah.
All right.
Well, the one advantage that we have is that when we get new students, the parents have to complete a parent interview.
Right.
The students have to complete a survey. So if a student begins to say things that we're not sure about, I'll look at that parent interview and I'll just go straight to the parent and say, this is what Johnny shared with me. I wanted to let you know. I don't ask questions. I don't accuse. I just wanted to let you know. And then I'll ask the student, can you fill me in a little bit, with this, because I want to know. You can tell when they start filling you in whether it's true or whether it's sometimes they're adding to it. But like Erika said, sometimes there's something that they want out of it that they're not getting, whether it be going to a foster home. A lot of our parents, a lot of our students live with mom 1 week and live with dad a couple of days or vice versa, and they want time with the other parent. So it's taking each story and keeping it separate, but the most important thing is I revert back to that parent interview because the parents have filled it out, and I don't worry about asking questions because this is what you've told me.
Right.
You know, and the parents are usually pretty straightforward with the kid because they ask what the kid does as well, where do they struggle, what do you do for consequences, and so we get a pretty good background on the student.
Okay. I mean, that's interesting to know because it's a couple of friends that I know, and they say we're going on an interview to with my son's teacher, so we can find out what's really going on. Because they're saying he's acting out in class, he's saying he's not acting out in class, and he's going home telling his mother, well, the only reason why I do that is because the teacher don't like me. Mm-hmm. And they say that that's the number one thing that most children say. Mm-hmm. Well, why are you doing that? Because they don't like me. Why don't you like me? Because I want to raise my hand, I want to ask a question. Then she never picks me. She never gives me a chance to come to the board and do this and do that. Why? Because she don't like me. Mm-hmm. And then when you come to realize that that's not how it happened. And the teacher be like, look, I have 20-something, 30-something students. I would love to have all of them come up to the board and explain something, but we only have a short window because now they're going to pack up and go on to the next class. So I can't bring everybody up at one time. And, some people just like, maybe it's just you wanting that one-on-one time.
And that's what, going back to what Tony said, it's about building relationships. That's the main thing because I can say, being that I worked in the middle school for so long, relationship building was like number one. You can't really reprimand a child if you guys don't have a relationship as far as a positive relationship because you don't want to let the kid doesn't want to let you down because they're like, oh, that's Miss so and so, and I think that's one of the main things that's sometimes missing when a child says, oh, the teacher doesn't like me. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's just that the teacher they haven't built that relationship yet. Right. And so that's another thing we do. We try to help build that relationship because a lot of times there is a disconnect and kids don't think, for some reason, they don't think we're human. You know what I mean? They don't think they see us in the grocery store and they're like, but we're human, and I think that's important that the teachers know how that these are just not your students; these are your babies for right now. And that's how you got to look at them. Right. And you got if they know you care about them, they're gonna work for you. You know, it'll be all right. Especially, and it's also important to build a relationship with the parent. Yes, that has helped me over the years. I can definitely say that because you want to know that I can trust you. The parents want to know, can I trust you with my kid? Right. Can I trust you with my daughter or my son? Yes. And when they know you have their best interests at heart, when you call and say, oh, Johnny, he did X, Y, Z, they're going to more so believe you and say, you know what, I know she it's not that she doesn't like you. You're doing this because, you got to call about the good things too. Right. And that's one of the things we tried to practice is he did real good today because parents get tired of hearing, oh, he did this, he did that, or she did this. They get tired of that. Yeah. So you want to call for the good things too, but just know I'm going to reach out to you when Johnny messes up, Right. So I think that's important.
Okay. So you say you have, has there been a time where you followed a student from middle school to high school, or is it just middle school and then when they go off to high school it's something else?
Just middle school, yeah, but because we worked in special ed, we would have our kids for at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. So all through middle school, and a lot of times we would follow up because they go to a local high school anyway, and they'll come back and see us. So we do, and Tony's really good about that. He really supports our kids, especially if they play sports and stuff like that. Right. He goes to games and things. But we keep up with it, and the parents usually keep up with us as well. And tell us, oh, he's graduating, so we get invited to graduations and things like that. Right. So yeah.
So Tony, how do you feel when you've worked with worked with the students from middle school, and then now that child that you've seen in middle school, now about to walk across the high school stage and knowing that you had a part of that relationship, that building part of that relationship with him to get him or her to walk across that stage. How does that make you feel?
It is the greatest feeling in the world because when you get them as a sixth grader, they're as squirrely can be. And then, as Erika said, that relationship, getting to know them, you see them go through seventh grade and eighth grade. By the time they're done with the eighth grade and go to high school, and I still follow my kids. Raheem, I have relationships of kids I've known that are now in their 30s. So I don't even stop, really. The kids I've worked with, if I can remain in contact, I keep in contact, and whether it be texting or whatnot, and it's just a proud feeling to see how they've grown. And a lot of times I'll get a thank you, Mr. Wilson, and my thing is no. I was just there to guide you along and be there, but
Right.
you did this on your own. But through the relationships, it's instilling confidence that they can do it, because you get a lot of kids that don't feel like they can succeed.
Right.
But you don't give up on kids,
No.
and I know Erika never has. I never have and never will. So now working with the elementary school kids, they're young, but instilling that same belief in them. So now that they might be first, second, third grade, so giving them that confidence, so when they get into the upper grades, that hey, I can do this. And I still I'll keep in contact with those kids. The difficult part is we work with them for 12 weeks, and once they're doing well, we follow up, but they're on their own. But then when they see you, why don't you talk to me anymore? How come you don't come see me? Because you've had that connection. So I even make sure now, even though they've moved on and they're doing well, I go to a school site, I pop in and say hi, because you as an adult, it's a job, but to them, it's a connection. So
Right.
you always want to keep that.
Right. Exactly. So have you ever been in a grocery store and a student that you work with come up to you and say hi, and you trying to figure out who?
All the time, especially because I haven't changed, but they have, from
Right.
sixth grade, and now they're, they might be in their 20s.
Right.
I'm like, oh my, okay, wait, tell me your name again, please. Your name again. But I've had it happen quite often, where I had a student. I was at the gas station one day, and a student, and he had a cane. He was something else in middle school, and he was like, Miss Riley, and I'm like, tell me your name again, And he
Right.
told me what his name was, and anyway, we just got to talking. He had gotten some trouble and was on a cane. He had a cane at that time,
Right.
but he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do right and this and that. So I've seen plenty of students, and I'm like, but I had a lot of students, like he said, I had students that are like in their, getting ready to go into their 30s. So 20-something, their 20s, got married, invited me to weddings, baby showers, and things like that.
Okay. So is there I'm trying to say this word correctly. Is there at a point to where you say, well, no, this is something you can't do because this is a working relationship, and I don't feel comfortable doing X, Y, Z. So if you want to share, if you want to, you
Well,
guys have
I'm definitely, if I'm in contact with the parent, so like a graduation party or something like that, if the parent invites me, I'm okay with that. But if it's something like the student, a small student, I don't do houses and things like that. And I don't even let kids follow me on social media.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I don't let them follow me on social media. None of that. You don't need to know what I do outside.
outside of what we do.
Not that my social media. I keep my social media right, But I don't let them follow me or anything like that. They can't do that.
So I was trying to say boundaries. What are the boundaries that you have? What about yourself, Tom?
Pretty much the same. If I'm contacted by a parent, I'm all over it. It's a sporting event or whatever. But even if a kid invites me, hey, I have a game on Saturday, can you come? Because I always tell my students, if you play sports, let me know. I will be there. And if they let me know, then I'll contact the parent, say, hey, Johnny's playing basketball. He said he has a game on Saturday. I'd like to go. Do you mind? And by then, I've already established a relationship with the parent and with the kid. And generally, it's like, oh, yeah, come. Because there's nothing more than a kid seeing you at a sporting event, taking time out of your Saturday to go. And to me, it's not any big deal, you know, but that means a lot. And as you said earlier, even just going to a graduation, whether it be high school or middle school, because you are an important part of their life, and to show up, you know, that just means a lot to them.
Yeah.
I've flown as far as Utah to watch a kid play. He played for the Utah Utes, went to Viegas Middle School, and then I kept in contact with his mom and kept in contact with him. And when he was playing it for Utah, I flew up there to watch him play a football game. Wow. You know, so it's just keeping that, you know, keeping that connection, and it stands out so much. It means a lot.
Okay. So say you're looking through you said the parents' interview or the parents' paperwork that they have to fill out or do whatever, and if you've seen is there any warning signs that you look for while you're doing that, or as far as when the kids say something or things like that?
I would say paperwork, no, because you can put anything on paperwork.
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
Right, applications,
Yeah.
we see job applications, they all look right. But when I meet a parent, that tells me a lot usually, just in conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yourself?
I think what helps with that is that the teacher fills out their part, the parent fills out their part, and I kind of look at them both to see, okay, he's doing the same thing at home that he's doing in class, and that kind of helps bring the parent and the teacher together, you know, because they're on opposite ends. Well, your son's doing this. Well, the same thing's going. So how can, and I never say how can you two work together. How can we all work together to address this?
Right.
Not only the negative things, but the things that are good. This is what he does good at school. This is what he does good at home. And a lot of times it matches up. But the warning signs is I look for, you know, if the kid's being left alone, if they're spending a lot of time on social media, video games, because that explains a lot of why we're seeing this at school. And you can't tell the parent what to do, but you can basically look at their interview, and it kind of tears down that wall to be able to address it and say, this might help, that might help.
Right. Because I'm seeing a lot of videos on social media with students attacking teachers and students attacking other students in class. And what do you guys think about that situation? Because some people are saying, well, they need to be disciplined at home instead of having your child come to school and react the way they're reacting. You know, a teacher is like, I'm here to teach. I'm not here to break up fights or stop your child from jumping on me and things like that. So my question is what can the teacher, the parent, and as far as the student do to kind of calm that down a little bit?
Number one, going back to building that relationship and that trust. I think, you know, a lot of times it's a lot of anger, and what I have saw in the past years is that a lot of times parents are not letting their kids learn how to work out their own issues.
Right.
And a lot of times the kids are mimicking what they see at home. So once we dig into it and you look at it, a lot of times when they are angry and they're just going off and hitting people or their peers or whatever, a lot of times it stems back to home.
Right.
They're seeing it, you know. I had a student in the third grade, a third grader, and he was calling this little girl the B word.
Right.
And he got mad because she wouldn't let him look at her paper, and he was calling her the B word.
Right.
And I asked him, you know, I said, why did you call her that? He was like, well, my papa calls my nana that, you know.
Right.
And I said, oh, okay. So he's seeing it.
Right.
He's just doing what he sees at home. So, yeah, with that being said, it's like it does start, a lot of it starts at home, what we're seeing come in the classroom. But I think building that relationship and you getting to know the parent, and then the parent being able to trust you that I'm not just telling you this to get him in trouble. This is what's happening, and we need to fix it now, because that's what's happening. We see it, and a lot of times I'm like, and that they'll trust you. And I'm like, we got to fix this now before he gets to middle school, because in middle school it's going to be a different scenario.
Yes.
He can't just hit people and think, oh, I'm just going home for 2 days. That's not how it works. Then you got families wanting to sue each other, and we have to deal with a lot of parents sometimes. A lot of parents they're mad at each other, but and I try to reiterate, we got to let our kids learn how to problem solve for themselves as well, and parents not, because the kids will be friends the next day, and the parents are still mad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I'm like, the kids, they're like, I don't want my kid to play with that kid. I'm like, okay, well, we could try to keep them apart, but 2 days later, after they had a fight, they're playing.
Yeah.
They're okay, but the parents are still mad, and they're ready to fight.
Yeah, now the two parents ready to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
The kids did, and that's 2 days ago. But what the thing about kids is they let it go.
Right, exactly.
It's like it's like, I don't want you coming to my house, and then tomorrow or the Saturday, what we gonna do? We gonna play football Saturday?
Exactly.
It's like, wait a minute, y'all was just fighting Thursday at school.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's your best friend.
Right.
Yeah, and then he wanted the person that was jumping on him, then then somebody else was jumping on the other person. Now the person that he was jumping on wanted to help him because somebody is jumping on him. Yeah, no, we grew up together. We in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
So that's why, and that's why I remember back when I was younger, and when I used to fight with my brothers, and my grandmother would say, y'all go and work it out.
Yes.
You don't really want me to jump. You don't really want me to get involved.
Everybody go get a whooping.
Yeah, because everybody go get a whooping. And my brother, him being the oldest, and I'm going to get you first because you see what's going on. You the oldest. All this need to be taken care of before it get to me. Because if it get to me, evidently it has gotten out of hand, and can't nobody solve it. But I know how to solve it.
Yeah.
And everybody getting a whooping.
So how important is that to learn how to to resolve it? Because that goes into your relationships when you get older.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to learn how to. You can't solve it by just beating people up.
No, because you're going to mess around, you're going to beat somebody up, and they're going to go get somebody bigger and better than you.
Yeah, that's what I tell them all the time.
That's it. All right. Okay, you jump on him now. You just wait till later. And I used to tell it, and this one dude these little kids was about to get into a fight. And I was like, see, that's how aunties, uncles, and brothers get killed. Because these two kids is having a fight. Now you want to run home and get uncle, right? And you going to go home and get your uncle. And you don't know what that uncle going through that day. You don't know what happened. And now the cool uncle coming down here to find out what's going on. Now the wild uncle don't care. Oh, you mess with my nephew? Bow, bow. Now you gone.
We've had that happen. We've had a parent get beat up by another parent's father. So we've saw, and it happens more than you know.
Yeah, and that's what I'm just trying to figure out, like, this is something that happened at school.
Yeah.
Why are the parents getting involved? You let your child take care of that. Don't let your child start something, then come get you, and then they only gonna tell their side. What did you do? I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting there minding my own business. Oh, so he just came up to you and socked you in your face just out of the blue. I want to come hit you because you got on orange.
Right.
I don't know what. And then that's when you start hearing what's going on.
Yeah.
And all that other stuff.
You gotta unpack it.
Yeah, You gotta start unpacking what's going on. Let's get through these layers. Let's find out what's going on. Because sooner or later, we're gonna get to the truth, and we're gonna find out what's going on. And then, like, I used to come get my brother. Man, this dude, why is he messing with you? What did you say to him? They always want to get the story straight first before they go out. Okay, that's you and who? All right, y'all gonna be friends tomorrow. Don't worry about it. But sometimes it don't work out that way.
Right.
Yeah. So, in certain situations where you guys thinking, okay, the situation isn't resolved, but that one kid keeps bringing it up and wanting to start more trouble, when you guys thinking, I thought we resolved this last week. All the parents, we sat there down and we discussed it and everything was cool, and now you bringing it back up. So in that situation, how would you guys work that out?
That happens a lot, and the way to work it out is you got to get the parties together right away. Don't let it linger and don't let it go on, because probably student A has gone home put something on social media that no one knows about.
Right.
And so a lot of times you get triggered. So like if we let it go and everything's good and it's brought up, you got to bring everybody in and address it and just go over the facts. You know, you can't like beat around the bush with things. You got to just be, you got to just be dead on at the very beginning. Johnny, you did this. Terry, you did that. It was resolved. And then you ask them, and as Erika said earlier, the restorative part, what happened? And you let them tell, because the more you talk as an adult, you're not going to get anywhere. You let them tell, and a lot of times as they're telling, they don't have anything to say. They don't even know why, you know. And once again, back to that relationship building. It's allowing them the chance to kind of figure it out, or one person just mad, and then they keep going off, you know. So it's bringing it back together and addressing it. And honestly, it lingers through high school. I've had kids in middle school who had issues, and they fought, and we thought it was done. 3 years later, as sophomore, junior, they're fighting over the same thing that they argued about, you know, years ago. So
that's one thing I didn't get, because I'm an avid high school football person. Wherever, you know, I just go wherever football, because I support. So I support. Matter of fact, you know, I don't know if you guys know Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
He was a quarterback for Cahoon High School.
Oh yeah.
My alma mater. So I followed him ever since he was a freshman. He was a senior. He was a freshman playing varsity, and I followed him all the way. And his attitude was the same as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. When he went to Arizona, and then he went to Louisiana, and now he's at Washington.
Yeah. Second overall pick.
Yeah. And that's somebody that came from San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Just you know, but he stuck to what he was doing, and he did everything he needed to do. And I remember I was at another game. Now I'm sitting there, I'm just watching the game, and I hear two guys behind me. Yeah, there you go, right there. And they're like, who? Like, there go Tyrone right there. Like, who's Tyrone? Yeah, that's the dude that stepped on my foot in middle school, and I couldn't play in the basketball games. We got in the fight. And his boys was like,
oh God.
Dude, you're a junior. Yeah, but still, you know, I couldn't play in the championship game. Yeah, I'm gonna go. They're like, listen, man, if you go over there and say something to that dude, man, we gonna jump on you because we gonna get kicked out the game. So let it go.
Yeah.
How does that affect you now?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that affect?
They're jealous.
What is it doing to you now? I don't know, but you know, that's what he did. But dude, years ago.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah. People got to learn. They got to learn how to let things go. It's not that serious. And like you said, it doesn't affect. What is it doing to you today?
Right.
You know. But that's a life thing that people have to learn.
Yes.
You know, and you got to think about it. Grown-ups hold grudges. You know what I mean? Like, you see people that are bitter, and it's like something that happened a long time ago.
Right.
And it's like you are 50 or 60 years old, and you still holding on to that.
Right.
So again, that might be something that's, you know, that people just need to start doing, period, because it gets you sick. Like, why hold on to stuff like that? Just let it go.
That's it.
Let it go.
I remember, and I laughed, but the family didn't expect me to laugh like that. So it was Thanksgiving. I was over at a friend's house, and this one lady wanted to take home some stuffing, and the grandmother all the way in the kitchen. Well, I hope you brought your own container, because 2 years ago I gave you my Tupperware, and you didn't return it.
That is funny.
And I just started laughing, and the whole family looked at me like, no, dog, she is serious about her Tupperware. Then if you know that, then just bring your own. But then she can be like, oh, so you expecting her to take something home? It's crazy. But I love the fact that you guys came in and talked with me about, the things that's going on in the school. Because now we don't know. We just go, most people don't know. We just see what's going on in social media. And we be like, no, that can't be true. So I said to myself, I'm going to bring Tony in. And I'm going to have him bring one of his colleagues in so we can see if that's what's really going on. And those videos that I'm seeing on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, those are actually true. Students are really jumping on teachers. And they want to blame the teacher. They be like, you got to learn how to control your emotions around a child. And that's crazy. But like I say, go ahead and say what you said.
No,
I'm sorry,
no.
go ahead.
No, you were saying something about they always blame the teachers, but it's hard because a teacher's hands is tied, to a certain extent. It's like we can't do it if we say something and they go home and tell parents. Then the parents coming down to say something to the teacher, and it's like, okay, I'm just trying to help,
Right.
So yeah, it's just a circle. I talk about this all the time,
But I want to bring you guys back, and so we can dive deeper into this, because I was telling people, I have a talk show, and this is something I want to talk about, and I want to put it out there to let people understand that this is truly things that goes on, and it's the help is there. It's just, are the mother and father or the parents willing to reach out and ask for that help? Wow. And I'm glad I know Tony, and now that you and I have met, trust me, it's when issues come about, and I know you have your hand in that, I'm gonna bring you on and kind of have you come in and talk to me about it, and I put it out on social media so people can see that this is true. Yeah. This is how things really happen. And I thank you both for your input and everything that you said today, and thank you very much.
Thank you for having
If
us.
I can just say one thing
Yes, sir.
about, like you said, with the videos and stuff and the attacking, a teacher has to learn to walk away as well. Because what happens is a teacher feels like that's my classroom, what I say goes, this and that and the other, and if a kid, whether he doesn't have a pencil or he says something, kids know how to push buttons. As a teacher, you got to call the office and say, I need a break. Teachers have to be transparent and know when their buttons are being pushed as well. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying as a teacher for 20 years and in middle school when I started, I had those kids, and I would have to get one of my colleagues next door to me, hey, can you cover for me? So you got to be willing to do that. As an educator, don't put yourself in a position to have some kids come after you. It's just not worth it. No. So I'm not defending, but I'm just saying, I'm not, condoning, but I'm just saying the teacher has to be, you're the adult in the class. So play that role. That's all. I wanted to interject that.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is so very true. And thank you for, answering that particular question and things like that, because I didn't want to leave without that question being answered. And when my friends sit on TV, man, why did you let him say? So, because I'm telling you, my friends will do that. They're like, why didn't you let Tony finish saying what he was saying? So I'm glad you got that out, and I appreciate that. But I've got the wrap-up sign, and we have to wrap up, and we have to go. And I want to say again, thank you for coming out and sharing your experiences.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It was great.
Okay, no problem. Well, there you have it, you guys. And if you have anything that you want me to discuss about child behavior, student, whatever, email me, let me know. As you see, I have the people here that can explain it way better than I can. So if it's anything that you guys want me to discuss, talk about, they'd love to come back and we can get into this. Trust me, it can happen. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Let's Talk About It with Raheem Mitchell. And remember, don't ever share your 8x10 dream with somebody with a 5x7 mind. My name is Raheem Mitchell. God bless. I'll see you next week. Peace.
Let's talk about it, talk about it. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
That girl from LA and that guy.
Let's talk